Hey everybody, ShadowRock here with your Mega News Roundup for December 6th, 2021. Yep, we're back after a 2-week break because honestly there wasn't a lot going on last week anyway. However, this week's news promises to be way more exciting, especially over in the DiVE blog. So let's begin by recapping real quick what happened in Rockman-X DiVE for Japan and Taiwan last week. The main highlights for last week was there was a limited weapon banner featuring a new sniper type buster called the Hawk Precision Buster, which is based on High Volt from Mega Man ZX. The most notable thing about the weapon compared to other sniper types is this one can actually pierce terrain, so that's pretty epic. Unfortunately, Rockman-X DiVE never released a trailer for this weapon, and I certainly don't have the weapon, so unless Quint pulled it, you're just going to have to take my word for it. Something we did get a video for, however, is the new challenge type mode, which is known as Deep Recorder. If you like numbers and clicking hexagons to clear spaces, this is probably the mode for you, but if you're like me and don't really care about that, then this mode ought to be really boring. And in practice, it is. It was so uninteresting that when I was showcasing this on the weekly livestream last week, my chat just straight up said, you know what? This is not compelling at all. And yeah, I gotta agree. That'll teach me to showcase new content. So Deep Recorder from now on is most likely going to be something I'm going to be doing off screen. But getting back to what the mode actually does, this is the main way that you're going to be able to get a lot of DNA points in order to use for the new DNA code stuff for your characters. You pick up to 10 characters and 10 weapons with the goal of having the highest stats possible. Luckily, the mode does provide a few buttons so that it can auto-select the best team for any kind of situation you want, whether that be best overall, best combat, and so on. Although I recently learned that best overall is what you want to go for because apparently your overall stats determines the rewards you get. The better the stats, the more rewards you get. Moving on to the actual game itself, the board is filled up with a few different types of events, such as exploration and combat, which ties to your actual stats for those specific types. And then you have question mark panels with random events, boss panels, but the ones you want to go for early on are the panels that say up on them and they increase your stats when you get to them. In order to move across the board, you have to spend 200 action points every time you want to move. And that's why early on we thought that going for high action with your team was the play, because the more action you have, the more you can move at a time. And once you run out of action points, you have to wait, obviously, to recover those action points. You do get an entire week to complete the board, so there you go. And Deep Recorder does reset every Monday Taiwan time, or Sunday for most of us. And I believe that's why when I started Deep Recorder the first time when it first came out, we started with a lot of action points, so we spent like a good 30 minutes or so just clearing out everything we could at that time. But starting this week, they made it so you don't have that many action points at all starting out, and you really have to just wait to get some more. That combined with the new information that the rewards are based on your stats, yeah, it's better to just go for overall, I think. But here's the strategy for clearing the whole board. You definitely want to head towards those up panels first. Buff up your stats as high as you possibly can, because your stats determines your success rate for each of the events. And you can confirm this anytime you click on a panel, it'll say success rate 32% or wherever. So once you buffed up your team enough to where you're OP, then you can start going for all the other panels and of course the boss panels. And this is where things get really boring because there's not a lot of variety in what happens with these different panel types. You may run into, say, a question mark board and then you have like a random buff or debuff or some kind of other event will happen. Like teleporting you to another side of the board. But other than that, you click on it, you accept the mission, and then you roll the RNG dice to see if you win or not based on your success rate. And if it's 100%, well, there you go, you just win. Which is why you just want to buff up your characters first, and then you go towards completion. And yeah, that's how you beat it. Like I said, it's not very interesting. There's not anything going on other than just clicking panels and kind of routing your way through the whole thing. And hey, if you do like that, more power to you. But yeah, the general consensus seems to be, it's, well, at least the rewards are nice. That's all I can say about it. And speaking of rewards, there is a leaderboard for Deep Recorder, which the only prize right now seems to be you get more DNA points if you're in the top spot. Yeah, that's it. More exciting is the boxes that you get from the boss panels in this mode, which actually does give you elemental medals, other boxes for memories, and even just straight up S-rank memories. Like, I got some memories for Second Armor X from one of the boxes. And yeah, we're definitely going to need stuff like that in order to take advantage of the DNA codes for the characters. So yep, this is the place where you start to get some of the materials together for that. And honestly, that does wrap up what happened last week. It was just round 2 of the Mega Man Battle Network Domination event. Wrapping that up. Like I've said in the past, no third character this time because we already had Forte Double EXO! So yeah, not much going on other than Deep Recorder and the limited weapon banner. Alright, let's get on to what's going on this week. And finally, we got a new level cap update. So yeah, big week for DiVE. And I mostly say finally for most of the players out there that have been sitting at level 160 for the longest time now. Me personally, I didn't mind it taking so long because it gave me just enough time to barely manage to reach 160 just in time for the update so I can actually show off that co-op stage among other things when it comes out on Wednesday. Thanks for waiting for me, Capcom. Alright, so let's just go through the whole thing. Same stuff as usual when it comes to level cap updates. Obviously this one is going to be level 170. That does mean you get the level 160 armor. And as for the juicy content, we got a couple of new boss challenges in the form of Hell Crusher from Mega Man X3, a mini boss that was in Tunnel Rhino stage. So yes, we're one step closer to having Tunnel Crinjo in our game. And then we have a face that showed up in the recent co-op stage, which is Split Mushroom from Mega Man X4. Split Mushroom is pretty crazy in DiVE. In fact, I've noticed a recent trend of most of the bosses in DiVE being harder than their original counterparts, in most cases anyway, because there are some exceptions like Boss Spider. And on the topic of Split Mushroom, we're getting a Split Mushroom boss chip with this update, which increases the power of your sword when you're attacking in midair. Even adds a little seesaw looking animation along with it. I guess they're trying to encourage people not to pizza cut on the ground all the time. No, you're supposed to pizza cut in the air, just like the good old days. One other thing you can expect in this update is the Research Level 9. Which is a long time coming too, because even I have already got enough experience points in research to unlock that. And last but definitely not least, here are your new story chapter and co-op stages. The new story chapter is going to be based on Shade Man stage from Mega Man 7. Well, that's an interesting choice, but may have been more fitting 2 months ago with Halloween and all. Speaking of, we can see that some of the new gen Reploids are using that mummy skin from the Halloween event, so that's cool that they're a permanent part of the game now. The Old Castle story stage will also have, at last, a new Mega Man X2 boss joining the fray, which is Magna Centipede. Always nice to see new bosses to fight and more X2 representation. We even got some X3 representation too with Hell Crusher. Nice. And on top of that, maybe some X4 representation. How about that? Because the new co-op stage is no base. a bit of an older stage at this point, already have been making his debut in the Christmas stage from last year, as well as story mode, but it finally comes to co-op. As for the boss of this new co-op stage, I won't reveal it because the trailer doesn't, but let's just say Mana Centipede wasn't the only new boss added this time. And the boss choice for Snowbase in particular is rather surprising, but more because it goes against the philosophy of Rockman-X DiVE, which is, deep log errors. Okay, that probably gave it away. Anyway, that about does it for the December 8th level cap update for Rockman-X DiVE. It's coming this Wednesday, get ready. In addition, it is indeed that time of the year once again. That's right, it's Xmas! And for Xmas this year, we're kicking things off with a rerun of last year's Xmas event. And that does also include the return of the Christmas Leviathan banner. So if you missed her last year, now's your chance. I wouldn't call her a top tier seasonal character, but she is alright I guess. And that does do it for our Rockman-X DiVE news for today. Definitely the main highlight this week is going to be that level cap update. But stay tuned because this is only the beginning of the Xmas festivities. Now let's finish off our mobile news for today with an update from TEPPEN. A couple of new Mega Man X Command Mission themed cards has been added to the Mission of Ruin card pack. And this time, Marino gets her time in the spotlight, finally, with the Solitary Ninja Marino card and the Dauntless Work card. It's pretty cool seeing Marino be a Robin Hood essentially in the Dauntless Work card, which is more or less how she worked in Command Mission. And then lastly, we have yet another Epsilon card, titled Shadow of the Goddess. Overall, really cool stuff here, and obviously it's really nice to have Marino represented. Which one of these is your favorite card of the bunch? Let us know in the comments. For this next round of news, we're sticking in the gaming department, but more board gaming than video games. That's more because we have another board game announcement. Yes, I do mean another one. We've had a few Mega Man board game announcements based on the classic series in the last couple of years, and today is no different. Man, when are they gonna start doing Mega Man X, Battle Network, Star Force, and the rest as board games? But I digress. Today we have Mega Man Adventures, a tabletop game coming from Blacklist Games, in conjunction with Kess. This game is based on Mega Man 1 through 3, where it is possible to mix and match different elements from those games, with the idea being obviously playing as either Mega Man himself or his friends as you battle to stop Dr. Wily and his robot masters. As for how the game plays out, the website explains that there are two main ways to play this game, as a quick single game or as an ongoing campaign to eventually take on Dr. Wily himself. Players must plan their turns out by playing action cards, usually one for themselves and two others to support their fellow heroes with bonus abilities as they traverse deadly stages filled with traps, obstacles, and enemies. Working together, the heroes will eventually each reach a dreaded robot master, who makes use of a unique boss pattern the players must decipher if they hope to defeat it and gain its signature weapon. Handy when facing other robot masters or even Dr. Wily in his castle. Featuring enemies, stages, and robot masters from Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, you can play through campaigns that recreate those titles or mix and match to create your own customized one. Now if you want to learn a lot more about Mega Man Adventures, there is an entire 40-minute gameplay demo that is uploaded to the Blacklist Games YouTube channel that features co-designer Michael Kelly playing through the whole game and showing how it works. The only thing you have to note is some of the pieces in this demonstration is in their beta stages, so they won't be the final designs necessarily. But that said, he does go through generally how the game works. For example, you have these challenge cards featuring different enemies, and then you roll the dice, and there's different dice for jumping, shooting, and running, and then you can spend those actions to conquer the challenges or choose to take damage, which you use the character card to keep track of your health and everything. and then you get additional stuff like support items and even special weapons. For the little I've seen of the game in action, it does look fairly simple to understand, and truthfully, the whole thing looks rather basic, but maybe that's for the best. Sometimes, really complicated games can really mess up your game nights because you spend all night looking at the rule book and trying to make sense of it. So while the other Mega Man All-Stars board game we covered in the past looked a bit more exciting, this one doesn't seem the worst either, and may indeed be worth checking out. After all, the one thing Mega Man Adventures has over All-Stars right now is we can tangibly see right now how Adventures will actually work out in gameplay. So I will have a link to the YouTube video in the description below. And hey, if you want to get hands-on and try out a small demo of the game for yourself, there is a Mega Man Adventures demo available on the Steam Workshop that works in tandem with Tabletop Simulator. Obviously not all the pieces are going to be there, but if you at least want to get a feel for things, there you go. I'll have a link in the description for that too. As for the release date, it's expected to drop in Q2 2022, and pre-orders are available on the Blacklist Games website for a whopping $40 US. I'll have a link to that in the description as well. Alrighty guys, it's time to leave the video game department and check in what's going on at the TV/film department for Mega Man. Oh boy, yes, we're returning there once again. But don't worry folks, it happens to be Mega Blast Monday. Oh, don't mind me, I was just reading one of Mega Man's key phrases from the official Mega Man Fully Charged style guide that our good buddy Protodude has put out for everyone to check out. And this guide has more quotes to where that came from. Let's see what Aki Light says. Who's the greatest dodger in the local deli? Looks like it's Aki. Who? That's me. Okay, now I'm just being reminded how much I'm not a fan of Aki Light. But anyway, the Mega Man Fully Charged style guide is a 123-page document that was originally distributed to Fully Charged licensees and partners before the show aired, according to Rockman Corner. This guide is essentially a way to tell all your different partners, this is how you use our brand, this is how you represent our characters for the purposes of advertisements, merchandise, and all that good stuff. As such, the style guide is chock full of tons of character illustrations, size charts for all the characters, how they compare to Mega Man size. And of course, we just talked about the key phrases for every single character. We have stills from some of the episodes, and hey, even a few backgrounds from the episodes. I will say this is pretty cool from a historical perspective, just seeing some of the behind the scenes production that went into the show. Personally, one of my favorite things from this is all the special weapon artwork, or I should say the schematic artwork for Mega Man. And even some of the key art and posters here are neat. On top of that, you have a bunch of assets that can be used for merchandise. And a lot of this merchandise never came out. And man, a lot of these are basically just clothing. You want Mega Man Fully Charged shorts? Mega Man Fully Charged shoes? How about a Mega Man Fully Charged skateboard? Heck yeah. And obviously this is a guide used for branding, so there is some do's and don'ts, like you gotta focus on Mega Man, he is the hero of the show after all. And then you can't flip any character art, obviously, you can't modify the logos, pretty standard stuff there. But yeah, that about covers the style guide. I think it's pretty cool to look at, even if the show, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, did ended up dying after the first season. There were plans for a second season of Fully Charged, but it never happened due to creative differences, among other things I would imagine. But Fully Charged did get a comic rather recently, and it was definitely a darker take on the series, which was rather interesting. In conclusion, I just want to thank Protodude for sharing this style guide with the internet. It has been fun to just take a look through it. And if you want to download the guide for yourself, you can check it out through the Rockman Corner article linked below in the description. Okay, so I promised some Mega Man film news, right? So yeah, remember the Mega Man live action film? For anyone who missed the boat on that, basically Churn Entertainment is working on a, well, live action Mega Man film. And originally it was supposed to go to Fox for distribution, but as we all know, Disney bought out Fox. So then we were all wondering, wait, what's gonna happen to the movie now? Is it canceled? No, it's not canceled, but Churn Entertainment did have to find a new distributor for the movie. And so back in 2020, we learned that Churn Entertainment signed a deal with Netflix to have some of their upcoming films go there, but at the time it was not confirmed either way whether Mega Man would be going to Netflix as part of that deal. Well, it looks like that is indeed the case. As Supermarché's website explains, Henry Rell and their in-house producer Orly Rose Strauss maintain an active development slate. Features in the works include an adaptation of Capcom's Mega Man for Churn Entertainment and Netflix, which they wrote and are directing. So there you go. It seems like whenever this Mega Man live action film happens, it's going to be on Netflix. Now, I've been seeing people on internet react to this and they're like, oh no, after freaking Cowboy Bebop, Netflix is going to ruin Mega Man 2. Well, see, that's the thing. Just because Netflix is distributing it doesn't necessarily mean Netflix has creative rights over Mega Man. We don't know for sure either which way, but for the time being at least, it seems like if this Mega Man movie sucks, it's more going to be on the parties involved with the production of the movie, like Churn Entertainment and Supermarché themselves, who, by the way, is the production company working on the movie, as the owners of that company are indeed Henry Yost and Ariel Rell Schulman, who have already been confirmed to be the directors of this film. We also knew of Masaoka as the lead producer. In addition, back in 2020, we learned that they hired Mattson Tomlin, who is best known as the guy working on the latest The Batman film, as the scriptwriter for the Mega Man film. And back when that news came out, we heard some comments where they said, oh, Mega Man has got to be a primal, emotional film. Yes, especially primal. Well, hold on there, folks. Is this a Mega Man X film? Is that what you're trying to say? I don't think they ever confirmed which series they're working with for the film adaptation, but they do say strictly an adaptation of Capcom's Mega Man, which most likely means the classic series, as it usually is when it comes to adaptations and such, because classic is the most popular, it's the one people know the most. But to say the classic series is going to have a primal story, that's still weird. I gave my full thoughts on that quote way back when the news first broke, but yeah, it's still a little concerning. But alright, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Because once again, I agree with everybody. Mega Man has no business being a live action film. It really should just stay in the realm of animation. I think that's where Mega Man shines. But if you're gonna do it anyways, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, because films like Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog have proved it is possible to make a decent video game based movie. But on the flip side, unfortunately, Capcom has not had a good track record at all with their recent film adaptations. The Monster Hunter film was pretty much universally panned for being awful and not very accurate to the source material. And then you had the most recent movie, which is Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, which, while I haven't seen it personally, I have heard that the general consensus on the internet is it also was pretty awful. Mostly with the way that they portrayed each of the main Resident Evil cast, and the fact that they tried to cram Resident Evil 1 and 2 into one movie, and it got kind of weird as a result. You only have so much time to cover the stories of two games in one after all. That said though, I just want to say, if you guys liked the Monster Hunter or the Resident Evil film. Don't let me tell you it's bad or anything. I'm just going by what people have said on the internet or what the general consensus is. If you like it, more power to you. With that general consensus in mind though, boy, that does not bode well for Mega Man, does it? I mean, the fact that it's live action does not bode well in the first place, but I digress. All I can really say is, well, I have absolutely no hope whatsoever. It'd be pretty cool if Mega Man was the one to break this cycle of bad Capcom films, and maybe turn out to be something somewhat watchable. And you know what? If you're gonna suck, at least suck so hard that it becomes good. So at least then we can just laugh off the movie and then go back to screeching about where's my Mega Man X9 and my Legends 3 and my Star Force 4 and so forth and so forth. Anyway, that's my rant on the movie for today. But as for when we'll actually see it, it sounded like the Mega Man film hasn't even been, well, filmed yet. So it's looking rather likely that we're not going to see this thing until 2023 at the earliest. That means the film is likely not going to be a show for Mega Man's 35th anniversary coming up in 2022. But hey, whatever. Capcom was basically a year late on celebrating the 30th anniversary anyway, so hey, you'll still kind of make it on time if it's 2023. That's it. Please don't suck, but if you do suck, at least be so bad it's good. You'll get some entertainment value out of me at least if you put Man into the movie. Our last news roundup for today is some manga updates, as always. First up, we have Rockman-san, Chapter 14. This is actually a continuation of the previous chapter, where we see Rockman and Gutsman facing off with the men with the mass-produced busters. And once again, this is very action-packed and gets even more intense. Actually looks really cool. Now, if I could just read it right, well, I'm sure the community is already on that in some shape or form. And then we have Rockman-chan, Chapter 15, Part 1. And this chapter features the Dr. Cossack family. Hey, cool. Including a hyper-realistic Kalinka. Kalinka, are you alright? And you look much older than your original appearance. Once again, you guys can check out these lovely manga entries and the links in the description below. That brings us to the end of today's Mega News Roundup, your big ol' episode to make up for the 2-week break. Speaking of breaks, I do want to announce that this is going to be one of 3 Mega News videos that's going to be during the month of December. That is because I'm going to be going out of town starting on the 23rd. So basically, content's going to go as normal until the week of December 20th. And at that point, that's going to be our last Mega News Roundup and our last Rockman X DiVE stream of the year. I'll be sure to remind you guys of that as we get closer to it, but that's what's going to be going on. And of course, we're going to be capping off this year with the usual Best of ShadowRockZX montage, as we always do. Now, I do want to thank you guys for watching, and a big thank you to all of our ShadowRockZX channel members, including GA class supporters, Adrian Cauldron, LML123, Chaos Bankai, Vent Crystals, Rico Syndrome, and Austin Buford. You have my deepest gratitudes for helping support the channel, and as always, stay tuned to ShadowRockZX for more on Mega Man and Mega S things too. Alright everybody, until the next video or Rockman X DiVE stream, which is going to be on Wednesday as always, rock on and Merry Xmas!